put this map up just to give an overall view of its location. This is the historical town of Mendocino with Highway 1. The light green area is Big River State Park, and then you probably can't see, I'll pass this around. The red area is the proposed tower site. So let me just pass. The permit for this wind tower was given a CEQA exemption as an appurtenant structure. The Mendocino Town Zoning Code does list windmills as an appurtenant structure. However, the Mendocino Town Plan states that appurtenant structures are not to exceed the height of 28 feet. The wind turbine does not fall within the exemptions listed for this. It's nothing like the examples listed for this exemption. It's a 40-foot high and 12-foot, it's a 40-foot high tower with a 12-foot blade diameter. And it also makes it not like a utility pole, which was one of the exemptions. Therefore, the exemption does not apply. Additionally, it is subject to at least 2 CEQA exceptions to this exemption. First, it's in a sensitive location. CEQA says that the Class 3 exemption does not apply in particularly sensitive environments where it may be a resource of concern. Second, there is a reasonable possibility that the project will have a significant effect due to unusual circumstances, those being the presence of endangered species. And so this is another exemption to the exception. Because of these 2 exceptions to the exemption, either an EIR or a negative declaration is required. There are several items which support these exceptions to the exemption from CEQA. 1, the study done for state parks by Mad River biologists which located the marble murrelets and fossil spotted owls nearby. 2, the recommendations by Fish and Wildlife proposing mitigations rather than a section 10 take permit. These mitigations would require shutting down the turbine for 2 to 3 hours at dawn and dusk every day between March and September, certain dates, in order to avoid take of the federally protected marble murrelets. These recommendations from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife have become the recommended special condition number 3 from the county ministry. The third item in support of this exception is the letter from the Department of Parks and Recreation, which was addressed to the Board of Supervisors and dated July 30th, 2008, regarding this permit appeal and concurring with the restrictions set by U.S. Fish and Wildlife. This letter from the Department of Parks and Recreation also, importantly, requests additional conditions that ensure compliance by the project proponent and by subsequent property owners if the parcel is sold. This recommendation by the Department of Parks and Recreation could become special condition number 4 if this project is approved. And the 4th item is also in the letter from the Department of Parks and Recreation. We have also recommended that the guidelines set forth in the California Guidelines for Reducing Impacts to Birds and Bats from Wind Energy Development should be followed for assessing and avoiding potential impacts associated with the project. Okay, I'd like to present a copy of this set of guidelines. Part of the record. The 5th item in support is the letter from the Mendocino Land Trust addressed to the Board of Supervisors supporting this appeal and also recommending that relevant questions in those guidelines, California guidelines, be answered with regard to the location of any wind tower in Medicare. A 6th item in support is the bird study done by the Audubon Society members near the site of June, which found the area being used by more than 20 different species of birds, which is a high number. Mendocino County Coast Permit Administrator of April 24th, 2008, be incorporated by reference. Thank you. This input from organizations, and especially from state agencies, is powerful evidence of the sensitive nature of this location. It indicates that CEQA should apply and that either an EIR or a negative declaration is required. I'd be glad to answer any questions. I don't know if that's part of the procedure this time.
You still have well over 15 minutes.
I don't need to use all the time.
Okay. So if you're offering to answer any questions now to the board, have any questions of the appellant at this point? Okay.
Okay, so I'd like to have in copies of this statement also. Thank you.
Okay, and so now we'll move to the applicant for a maximum of 20 minutes in presentation, and then we can take questions of the staff and or any of the appellant or the applicant. So to the applicant, please.
So good afternoon. My name is Charles Wood, and I spent the last 2 years preparing a book called Kicking the Gasoline and Petrodiesel Habit, a Business Manager's Blueprint for Action. I brought a copy of that if anybody wants to see that. All kidding aside, I've spent a lot of time looking at the energy situation in America today, and it's really in a deplorable state. I'd like to offer several examples of that. No doubt you remember the California energy crisis, also known as the Western energy crisis of 2000 and 2001. From a citizen standpoint, the time period was characterized by rolling blackouts and electricity rationing. Due to the very high prices for the energy they purchased, Pacific Gas and Electric went bankrupt, and Southern California Edison was bailed out with public money. It's not until November 2003 that Governor Davis ended the state of emergency in California regarding electricity supplies. California's electric utilities import electricity generated with hydroelectric facilities from the Pacific Northwest states of Oregon and Washington. A drought in the Northwest states in the year 2000 reduced the amount of hydroelectric power available to California. Again in 2005, reduced water supplies in the Pacific Northwest reduced the amount of electricity that California was able to import by 30%, according to the California Independent System